All right, everybody. This is Never Stop Dreaming podcast here, and I got a legend with us, CMG from the Conscious Daughters. You might have known her records from the Funky Expedition, her and Special One. And so, guys, I'm really excited about this interview because in the 90s, I mean, we could go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and record. I'll probably be one of the first ones to say this, but probably the hardest hip hop female duo ever.
Ooh, I roll with that.
So we got Miss CMG, y'all.
Hey, what's up? What's up, everybody? Thank you for having me.
So Miss CMG. So when can you tell the people how you and Special One initially connected? Because I know from watching your previous interviews, you mentioned that she was a really big basketball star at the time.
Yeah. Well, we met in junior high school. We had a mutual friend who lived kind of close to us. And we met through this mutual friend. And when we met, Special One, her mom had worked at the radio station. And my father was in a lot of bands, you know what I'm saying? And I was a band kid. And so basically we really connected on music. Our mutual friend, she didn't really know a lot about music. So me and Karryl just hit it off and we started hanging out and saying, oh, I got this song. What song you got? What song you got? And her mom working at the radio station, she was able to get a lot of music early. So she was like, I got this tape from New York, WBLS, way back before there was even a hip hop station here. She would have those cassette tapes. But yeah, so after we met in junior high school, she asked her mom, could she go to the same high school as me and our mutual friend? Okay. So we ended up going to high school together and we entered into high school as best friends. She had been an athlete early on in life. Karryl, Special One, was a girl who played baseball with the boys. She was an all-star baseball player for the Richmond Athletics. I think that was the name of them, in Richmond, California. And she was, she was an all-star, the only girl on the team. So she was very athletic. And she also played basketball and softball when she got into high school. So she had this star quality about her. Her personality was everything. She was a comedian, hella funny, just so lovable, and just one of those people that you just gravitate to, so magnetic. Everybody loved her. She was hella crazy. She would just do hella shit like steal something right in front of you. Oh, for real? I know, right? I know, right? Okay, well, shit. And and if I had to lighter, where would I put it?
Right.
So she was one of those kind of people. Just all around loving person. But yeah, so we met in junior high school and we went to high school and she was a star, most popular in the whole school, best athlete, best softball player, best basketball player, most likely to, the funniest person, all kind of stuff. Those little categories in the yearbook, she had like 4 or 5 of those.
Okay. Right on.
All across the board.
So where did Paris and Scarface Records, how did you guys initially meet Paris? And how did that relationship block?
Yeah, so as I said, Karryl's mom worked at the radio station, so she knew how to operate because she went to work with her mom all the time, starting as a very young 11, 12-year-old. So she knew how to work reel-to-reels, cassette tapes, all of the panels in the radio station by the time she was 14. So when we get to high school, she decided to take the radio class, right? And so when she gets to the radio class, the teacher, she rolls up in there like, I'm here for the radio class, Yeah. And then she was like, tick, 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 then she started turning everything on. He couldn't teach her nothing because she knew how to operate all the equipment already. Wow. So he made her the program director for 4 years, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. He put her in charge of managing everything and being like his assistant.
Wow.
However, while we were there, we started using that equipment. We started making, I would cut class and go down there and we would do songs together. It was also a live 10-watt radio station. Mm-hmm. So we had our own show on there and we would just go on there and spit various raps and rhymes and mixes and do all kind of crazy shit. And so we started making cassette tapes and we wrote our name on them. We said, we're going to be Conscious Daughters. We about to get out here. We're going to be stars sometime. And that's when we left high school. We left with a whole bunch of cassette tapes. And the way we met Paris was years after high school. We graduated around 18. So by the time we're like 20 or something like that, we go to this digital underground album release party in the city somewhere. I forgot where it was. And Paris was there. So, you know, when we whipped out cassette tape, because every time we seen a rapper, we was like, oh, there goes so-and-so. Give him the tape. Give him the tape. Give him the tape. You know, so we was passing out our tapes, and that's how we met Paris. He basically, he saw Conscious Daughters, and, you know, him being a political, you know, socially political rapper, he wanted to know what that was about. You know, he was really into Black politics and the uplifting of Black people. However, we were not. You know, we was riding around drinking 40s and smoking weed and shit, doing all kind of partying and stuff. But our conscience was like a social conscience. It wasn't like a pro-Black political conscience. That's not what it was meant to be.
Right.
But it kind of worked out because when he met us, he looked at us and said, okay, first of all, these girls can spit. Secondly, they can deliver the message, the good message to the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he was very into, you know, the upliftment of Black women, just Black people in period, just minorities, not only Black people, but, you know, people of color.
Right.
And so I think that once he, you know, saw that we really had the ability, he said, hey, let me investigate. He called us. He was like, I like your demo tape. I don't like the beats, but I love the raps. So let's sit down. Let's talk, you know. So he had just left Tommy Boy Records in New York. So he had a good connection in New York. He was already out and popping, doing music. But he wanted to start his own label. And so we were, I think, the first or second act on his label, Scarface Records, when he started it.
Okay.
So,
and it's interesting that you mentioned Tommy Boy, because I was just reading a report about, I think they just got bought out or something, right?
I thought they'd been gone. So the fact that they're even being talked about now is something. I know it's kind of like Sleeping Bag Records. They're hella old, like from the 80s or something. Yeah. So I don't know where Tommy Boy is. I have heard nothing about it. I know Tommy Silverman was the person who ran the label. And I know Paris has some issues with him around some racism and inequality and stuff like that. And so after that, I just kind of said, well, fuck them. And I ain't thought about them since, pretty much.
So
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So the first album, Ear to the Street. Now, before I get into asking you any questions about that, I just want to know, as well as some of your fans want to know, can you remember the first record you and Special One wrote and professionally produced?
Now, professionally, it would be Funky X. Well, it would be that album, Ear to the Street, because prior to that, we recorded a whole bunch of shit that didn't go nowhere. Okay. You know how you meet somebody and they be like, I'm starting a record label, but they really ain't about shit? Yeah. Like you have to go through that in order to make it. You have to go through that. Anybody who's made it at some level of being on a major label, you've always dealt with somebody or people who promised you, said, I'm going to be your manager, or I'm going to put out this album. And we recorded a lot of stuff that went nowhere. Mm-hmm. So the first professional stuff that we ever did was the Ear to the Street album. And I think the first song that we ever recorded was Princess of Poetry. Okay. Yeah, on a professional level.
So Ear to the Street. So as I was doing a little bit of my research, so from what I read, did you guys sold about 700,000 records?
Yeah.
What was that like?
We sold a lot of records. And it was great because, you know, that was back when you actually made money off of selling shit. Like now it's about streaming, but back then we used to have to buy $15 CDs. Yeah. And even though we only got about $3, $2.50 per unit, you know, it added up because we were making money. We was getting that cash, like, you know what I mean? It was checks. And so I'm very happy. Like, you know, I think we did a great job. And we had an awesome attorney, a kick-ass, dope attorney. Shout out Jim Molesky. Okay. And who really looked out for us early on. So because what happens is you put out music, Okay, and you sign an agreement with somebody, you're like, okay, we're going to put out this music. But when somebody else, for example, like Paris, he wanted to become a bigger empire. So he ended up not selling, well, kind of selling us to Priority Records in order for, it was like a big payday.
Right.
But also we had a great contract. So they had to pay us. Thank God we had a clause in there about like if we were bought out or something like that. You don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Whenever you're making music. So you always have to think about everything. And yeah, we were blessed. But yeah, 700,000, probably more, it's more now.
Right.
But when I heard that YouTube only pays like $150 for 1 million streams, is it 1 million? I forgot how many they said.
Yeah, I seen it.
I don't know. It's some ridiculous number. Is it 1 million? I'm sorry. Okay. It's either like 1 million or 500,000, something ridiculous. Like that's highway robbery.
Right.
Straight up.
Criminalism. So what was that process like when you guys were recording it? Like, did you guys know that, you were going to sell? Did you guys even know that you guys were going to sell any records? Like, what was you guys' expectation going into this album?
Well, see, unlike the kids today, people that are coming out, you have something to look at to say, I want to be like this person, or I want to be like that person, or I want to be big like so-and-so. We didn't have that. So we didn't really have a vision. There was 80s rappers that we wanted to be Run DMC. We was Run DMC. We was Roxanne Shante. We was the real Roxanne. MC Shy Rock is my idol, but that was so far reachable that we didn't think that it would really happen, but we didn't care. We was like, oh, y'all gonna give us some money to do a song? We're gonna be on TV. Okay, cool. It was one step at a time, and it was not planned out. And the reason why it worked out is because we just did it because we loved it. Okay. It was all for the love of the art. It was never about, we need this check, we need that. First of all, we didn't even know how much money people got paid doing the stuff. But thank God for that attorney we had, because when it was time to sit down at the table, he had knowledge and he was able to tell us, look, they're going to be making $15, you're going to be getting $3. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever it was. No, I don't know, it could be wrong, but that's not a lot. When you think about it, I'm like, $15, y'all taking 15, giving us 3? The fuck? But at the same time, they spent millions of dollars on sales and marketing for us. We had billboards on Crenshaw Boulevard. We had, we had the best talent agency putting us on tour. We had promotional materials, all these things that cost so much money back in the day. Our videos were thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, right? Now you can get a video for what, 3,000? Yeah. Back then, and probably less than that. I don't know, 3,000 or so. But back then, 30,000. You know what I'm saying? Or shit like that, like some crazy numbers. So there was a lot of money spent also. So it's just a different environment now. But we didn't know what to expect. We just did it because we wanted to. We loved it. We loved music. And it was all for the art of the music. We didn't care. As long as our bills and our rent was paid, we was out. We was, we're going on the road. Y'all paying our bills? Oh, yeah, we out. Fuck a job. And we can smoke weed and drink 40s all day? Oh, hell no. And we ain't got to drive. We got free. Oh, we riding first class? Oh, we out. So, yeah, that was it. It was a great ride.
What was your personal favorite song on that album? And why?
On Ear to the Street, my favorite, it's got to be We Roll Deep, just because I love the sample. It's a Roy Ayers sample, and my dad used to play that song when I was growing up as a kid, because our parents of our age were all into jazz and stuff like that. And not like me and my son, like my son's like, my mom in hip hop, my mom know everything. But our parents from my era were all mostly into like jazz and a lot of soul music. Yeah. And it just meant a lot to me when I heard it. I was like, and my parents liked it. And the fact that my dad liked it made it my favorite song. Because I was like, because they was looking at me sideways, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, are you going to college? Like, what are you doing? It's kind of like when Elvis came out gyrating, my mother was like, okay, you talking shit about slapping niggas and, you know what I'm saying, bitches and hoes and 40s and weed. and they never, you kind of don't show that side of yourself to your parents right away, even though they know I'm eclectic, because first of all, I grew up in a house where Maze and Frankie Beverly came to live with me.
Wow.
And kind of babysat me while my mother was working for her. So I'm hanging out, they're smoking weed all day long, so I'm running around and, I grew up in a very musical household. Wow. And that's all my dad did. He plays the guitar, something. He would just take me to the park and just play the guitar. So I have always been around it. And it's just something that's embedded in me. So anyway, so it's off of the level of art, basically.
And so my last question about this album, then I'm gonna get into the next album.
Okay.
I this was something interesting that I was because I was listening to it a little earlier, and when I was listening to TCD in the front, I didn't realize that Aaliyah and DMX had used basically like that same melody.
Well, that song is actually an old school song. So that is a sample.
Right.
That is from, some great jazz artist again. So that's not our song. That was actually a sample. Right. So they didn't sample our music, but they, and it's just a great, it's one of those great songs to sample, Biggie Smalls also used the same Roy Ayers sample that we use for Re-Roll Deep, a version of it. Mm-hmm. We had like a remix that he used the same for one of his tracks too. So, there's some songs out there that people appreciate, and want to sample. It's all good.
Right.
As long as you do your style and don't do mine, it's all good.
Right. So the second album, Gamers. Yeah. So, I mean, when who came up with the concept of the title, the artwork, the records? How did that process go? And how was it different from Ear to the Street?
I believe, the album title, we wanted to do, okay, so this is what I can remember. I want to say I thought of it because in my mind, I thought of it, and I got the tattoo on my thigh. And I remember when I got that tattoo, I was like, yeah, this is all me. This is all me. I did this, right? But I don't know. It could have been like, some of it is a blur. But I know that we wanted to say something about women who were balling. So the idea of the album was like, okay, we're about to do an album about women who are on top, women who are balling, women that's in the game, and that's where Gamers came from. It's like, we're all gamers. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are in this game here to do it. And that was the concept behind it. Okay. I mean, you could be a video gamer, I guess, too. You know what I'm saying? I feel like maybe that's the song that should have been on Grand Theft Auto also. I'll be submitting that next week.
Okay.
But We Roll Deep is on the Grand Theft Auto 5.
Wow.
So when you go on there, so that opened up a whole nother gate of people who discovered us. And they think it's new. They're like, I just discovered you through Grand Theft Auto. And
hey,
I'm like, girl, that was 1993, 94.
So okay, so I'm gonna skip around a little bit because you mentioned that, and I was watching, like I said, I was watching some of your previous interview, and you mentioned something about you were on like the development team for Tetris. Is that correct?
That's correct. The original, yeah. So when you like. A lot of people, okay, so if there's a question like, what would people be surprised to know about you? Well, I was in software development for over 10 years. And being from the Bay Area, this is a melting pot of people who are very creative. I started, so basically when my parents were looking at me sideways, like, why are you going to college? I went to college. It was junior college. And quite frankly, I hated English, I hated math, but I love my computer class. Mm-hmm. And my father he taught me coding early. Like, I know Unix and DOS. These languages were the first languages to come out on the computer. Mm-hmm. My dad is a gadget person. He had the first iPod. He had the first computer that came out. So he taught me how to make, sparkles and flashes on the computer before anything, when it was orange, way back when. And I was fascinated by that. So I decided I was going to leave college, but I didn't want to disappoint them. So I said, well, I'm just going to go to the computer school so I could stay in school, And they've given me everything I wanted all my life. So I said, I got to at least go to college. And, it was just, I was going to do that anyway. I'm not no loser. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't like, I'm just going to be like, fuck it, I ain't going to school. Because I wasn't really doing shit else but working at Burger King. Right. So I was like, I'm not going to be working at no Burger King. If I need to be a rapper, I'm going to do something else. I had to have plan B. So I get to the computer school, and when you finish the class, they had job placement. So they placed me at this job where they said, okay, you're going to just be a receptionist, but, it pays you. It was like, I don't know, $9 an hour. That was a lot of money back then. Mm-hmm. Right. And, I was like, oh, shit, I'm rolling in the dough. Okay, I'm going to go be a receptionist. Right. Yeah. And I was sitting there in the receptionist hall. This guy comes in, and he's really tall, white guy, big old afro. I'll never forget his face or his name. His name is Alexei Pajitnov. And he said, hi, my name is Alexei. I'm here from Russia. I have a meeting with your boss, Gilman Louis, for a new video game idea I have for a game called Tetris. And I was like, wow. So I said, okay, we'll have a seat and wait. So we just started talking, me and him, he was like, yeah. And I was like, you're from Russia? He was like, yeah. He said, I've always wanted to come to the United States. And, and I'm here to sell my game idea. A lot of people in Russia, they don't give you a chance. And, I'm here. And, so they went on and had their meeting, and we picked up that game, and they promoted me. Like, I was a receptionist to start, but once we started picking up these video games, they had me doing extra shit. So I already knew how to code, right? Mm-hmm. So when I got there, I was like, I know how to do the HTML. Like, they were like, oh shit, let's boom, 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 boom. So we all started working together. It was like a small startup, Yeah. And that's how I ended up on the original development team for the first version of Tetris in the United States. Then I went on to one of my friends from the company where we did Tetris. He moved to Lucasfilm, and he was there for about 2 months, and he called me. He said, hey, come work here. Don't you want to be a producer? We have an opening. So I was like, peace out. I left, and I went to Lucasfilm to go with my friend. And then I ended up being an assistant producer for Star Wars, Zach McCracken and the Mindbenders, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and another game called The Secret of Monkey Island. And also these very creative people that I was blessed to be just in the presence with, because these people are very high in high places now. Some of them went on to start Pixar. Other ones, they're everywhere. They're in really high places. And they drew my face in as a game character, because they were like sitting around brainstorming, and they looked at me and they said, I have an idea. Why don't we paint Carla's face? They thought I was beautiful. I'm American, Indian, and Black. These people were in the Bay Area. They have the best, like, not to call them all white, but they were white and Asian, and they just were so diverse. Mm-hmm. And they loved me. They thought I was the most beautiful thing. They were like, wow, I love your culture. These people were very on. That's why this is kind of a melting pot of a lot of mixed races. Mm-hmm. But they drew my face in, and you can Google me, Carla the Swordmaster, Lucasfilm Games.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, so I have that, but eventually I left. I worked as long as I could until it was time to go on tour. I used all my vacation time, and I had to make a decision. Do I stay here, not knowing that would be one of the biggest and greatest companies ever in life? Uh-huh. But I had to go pursue my dreams. Yeah. So, and I lived that dream, and then I moved on to another dream. You know what I'm saying? And then now I'm still living another dream. Like, it's like, the world has been so good to me. Life has been so great, and I'm so fucking blessed. It's beyond like belief that I was able to do the video game stuff, do the music stuff, and actually make it, and be able to tour with these biggest acts in America, Ice Cube, Nas, Snoop Dogg. We went on tour with Outkast, Tribe Called Quest. We were out there, and it was the best experience of my life. Right. And now I'm bored. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
So how did that endeavor, how did that happen for you to get your song Rolling Deep on GTA 5? How did that process work? Did they contact you? Did your people reach out to them? How did that go?
They reached out to Paris. So they reached out to Paris. They have a section called West Coast Classics. Uh-huh. And the person who was doing that really kind of picked, there was a group of them. They picked the songs that they wanted, and We Roll Deep was one of them. And it just was a blessing to get the phone call. It just came out of nowhere, and they called Paris. And then actually the first time I knew that it came out was Warren G was the person who told me, because I don't talk to Paris that often. Like, we just kind of, after a while, you just don't talk like you used to. And so I was aware of the licensing, but I kind of forgot, because you license it one day, but it doesn't come out until like a year or two later. You know what I mean? The game development takes a while, and they're putting it all together. So you kind of forget about it. And then once it came, I just got a random phone call, and it was Warren G. And I was like, hello? He was like, hey, guess what I'm doing? I was like, what? He's like, I'm playing Grand Theft Auto 5. Guess what I'm listening to? I was like, well, he's like, Reload Deep. I'm out here killing niggas to Reload Deep. I'm out here, and I was like, what? And I was in the pizza parlor when he called me. And I was like, my heart started beating. I was like, we're on Grand Theft Auto 5. Because I knew that it was good. You don't know it's going to happen until it happens. You know what I mean? Right. Even though I heard and all this stuff. So yeah, it was funny. I didn't want to act like I didn't know when he called me. I was like, oh yeah. But I didn't really know. I'm mad Paris didn't call me and tell me first, right? But maybe he didn't know. I don't know. But yeah, so that was a major blessing. Definitely looking forward to doing more video game music.
And so I'm gonna skip back into the music a little bit on this one. When you guys were, in the midst of basically going platinum, I mean, did you receive any hate, or not necessarily hate, but like, were men intimidated to get in the booth around you in Special One around this time?
I don't know.
Take y'all serious?
The only thing I could say is that everywhere we went, there was a glow around us. It was really weird. I look back now and I think God, angel spirits, Mother Nature, everybody was protecting us in a shield. We never experienced no hate. Nobody never threw nothing at us. Nobody ever shouted out or heckled us in the stage. We went to New York, open arms, just open arms. All the dudes around, even though, so I'm going to separate the East Coast and the West Coast, because there's two different experiences. So when we went down to New York, love, just out the gate. We had Priority Records spent a lot of money for us to get our records played out there.
Okay.
So, and they were saying, well, if you want Ice Cube, you got to play Conscious Daughters. That type of stuff. They was willing and dealing. And I found that out because we went to New York, and DJ Evil D was like, man, they told me if I wanted Ice Cube, I had to play y'all record. So yeah, and they told me I had to spin it like so many times a day. So I was like, yes, and when he was telling me, like, I didn't like y'all at first. He was like, y'all cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then but him telling me that it's something that sits in my head, because we paid our way to get there in a sense. But the product was really good, and the people liked it. And then, so when we got there, we went to the Awesome 2 show. We went to Ralph McDaniels. We went to, we were there for everybody's show, Ladybug, Mecca, and, all these people. And we couldn't believe how we were being embraced. Like, we were just like, wow, because we are such humongous fans of New York hip hop. Number one, remember that radio connection I told you about?
Yes.
From early on in high school. So we know early 80s New York hip hop, like before anybody out here would know. Like, we would be like, that's so-and-so, that's Steady B, that's Cool C. You know what I'm saying? Like, we would be able to know, we knew our history. And so when we got there, it was just automatic. We got on the stage and we ripped those mics, and they never seen nothing like that coming from the West Coast. No. Because we were so well trained, I'm saying, just basically from them, you know what I'm saying? As far as the stage presence. Now, the West Coast, yes, the guys out here, we came up together. We all started in the 90s. We all run in the same circle. The Loonies, the Conscious Daughters, Forte, everybody you could think of, Marvelous, SIBO, Mystic, like everybody, we're all in the same circle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Digital Underground, like everybody, but everybody's different. And we all have our own flavor, and we're all like this, friends. I got millions of pictures of all of us together all the time from 90s on.
Yeah, I see you on Instagram.
So we don't really have, I wish they would have invited us on their songs a little more, like from the West Coast, as far as, like, you go to New York, they put all the women on. You know what I'm saying? They put all their women on, period, dot. every Jay-Z put on a meal, like they got women on and shit. Out here, they just didn't do that. It just because the West Coast male mentality is, nigga, I don't do that. I'm not fit to put a bitch on for nothing. You know what I'm saying? They had that kind of mentality, which, you know, I'm not judging that. It's cool. That's where I come from. I got the same mentality in a sense, but, you know, I wish that we did more, you know, like, even though we did get invited to be on 5 on it, we were out of the country and couldn't get here in time. But I just like, we had so much love. Everybody loves us. And I can't remember one instance of any person who's ever said anything negative that stands out in my mind. And if they did, Karryl would probably be like, anyway, fire up a blunt. Anyway, do you want this shit or not? Okay, get out my face. You know, she one of them kind of people, you know what I'm saying? So they'd be like, all right, this bitch is crazy. Then they can't help but love her, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Are there any, and I know I might throw a monkey in a wrench on this one, but are there any artists that you're currently listening to today? Like any top, I don't want to say that they're like your top favorites, but are there like maybe a top 3, top 5 artists you listen to?
You mean some of the new school artists?
I mean, yeah, new school. And I just want to
separate it because you know I come from the 80s. So I want
to hear your top 5 then. I want to hear your top 5.
Oh, my top 5
now.
All right, so we're gonna go back to my top 5. Okay, number 1, KRS-One. All right.
Okay.
Number 2, I'm gonna go with and I'm just doing hip hop because R&B and soul is a whole nother level. Okay, so you know, KRS-One and Boogie Down Productions, Criminal Minded is one of the greatest albums ever made in life to me. Okay, you put me on the spot. Okay, Rakim is at a hard number 2 up. Tribe Called Quest is at a hard number 3.
Okay.
It might be reversed. Nas is at a hard number 4. Okay, hold on. Let me back up. I'm going to insert NWA into number 3.
Okay.
As a whole, because Ice Cube is on my top. And I'm going to insert Too Short at in the middle too.
Okay.
So I have top 7.
Hey, that's all right.
So out here is Too Short, NWA, and then out there is Rakim, KRS-One, and Nas. And so I wish I could say some women. Salt and Pepper's up there, but excuse me. Hold on. Number 2, Run DMC.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Scratch. Insert. It's hard for me to put them in order because there's so many people that stand next to each other.
Particular order, you know, just top.
And then if we move to today, listen, I'm not one of those bitter old school artists. Like there's a lot of us that are like, oh, these little kids, you know. There was a time when, you know, it's hard to swallow when you come from such a lyrical history that is so dope. And then you turn around and these rappers is making $1 million off talking about asses and titties all day. That's a hard pill to swallow when you're like a connoisseur of hip hop music. However, they have been really creative with it. And some of that shit I shake my ass to. But it took me a while. But now they're starting to really come out and show me who they are. Now, then you got the dope kids, the drug kids. See, I grew up on drug dealer music. They growing up on drug user music.
Right. That's
you know what I'm saying? Because they all high as a kite. They on some shit we would have never touched. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm scared to snort some cocaine. They popping pills and doing all that shit. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, falling asleep and shit. Who wants to go to sleep? Like, what is that about?
Yeah, no, they
you know, there's a lot of them out here. I love 21 Savage.
Okay.
I love me some 21 Savage. Let's get on this list right now. First of all, Drake is number 1 for me. As a new school. Lil Wayne is number 1 also. That boy, and he's kind of new school, but he's not quite right. But Lil Wayne all day, all motherfucking day. Is one of the greatest MCs of the new era to me ever. Him and Drake. Then I'm gonna go with 21 Savage as far as the new ones. I love me some Lil Baby. And right now I'm really getting into Saweetie. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm really proud of her because the first time I heard her, I was like, I didn't make an opinion. I didn't want to hear it again.
Yeah.
Until I started catching on to her style. You know, you never know like what a person, you got to give it a chance. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really into Saweetie right now. I like her. And then There's some more, but the problem is they so many one-hitter quitters. One hit here, one hit here, one hit. I forget the damn names. Like y'all come and go so fast. You don't have longevity like we did, like Busta Rhymes, and he's on my top list too, but just not in the top 5. But people like that have had longevity. Even though we've only done 3 albums, we made millions of dollars, and we was able to be relevant for at least 7, 8, 9 years,
right?
Through 3 albums. You know what I mean?
That's good.
And so a lot of people are, these kids that are coming out, but they, it's easy for them to make money. They go on the road, get that show money, because they for damn sure ain't getting no streaming dollars. I mean, they are, but it's not what you would think it is. You know what I'm saying? For me, that's like, I got to get on the road, sell some merch or whatever they do. That's why they be having all that cash, because they be cash only.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, we used to get checks, put that in the bank.
Right. So my last set of questions, fast forwarding the record label, is it FAIM?
It is. And it's called Fame. Okay. So I'm figuring, what's my next step in life? Like, I've done software development. I've been a successful business person, period. Just entrepreneur. I'm an investor. Thank God, because if I would have been relying on rap forever, I'll probably be homeless. You know what I'm saying? So thank God I invested early in the companies that I worked for. Thank God which were Fortune 500 companies for a good 10 years between my ages of 20 and 30. And those stocks today are worth tons of money. I'm still not selling them all, but the point is that I have retirement. I have these things that a lot of people don't have, and thank God for my father, who really directed me in that area. But anyway, so I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do next? I've always wanted to start a record label, even though the way it pays is a little shady. I've been looking for a female rap group for years. And it can be a single female. I want to find something different. Of course, if you ask me, I would love to find an Asian girl, a white girl, and a black girl, put them in a group and have them just kill everybody. They ought to be deadly assassin ass rappers. That's what I really want. But I'm not finding that. I haven't been able to find nothing like that. You're not going to find what you want. And I don't want to think out what it is I'm looking for. I just haven't found anybody that makes me want to spend my money.
Yeah.
But I did recently. So my godbrother is a celebrity chef, and he is, he called me and he found this guy. He said, you got to meet this kid. He's great. And so I found an artist that, I only have one now. And I am looking for another artist, because I can only handle 2, because it's very expensive. Yeah. If you want to make it work, you got to spend money. It's going to be at least 100,000 just to get them to start, 2 of them started, you know what I'm saying, and out there. So I want to be able to, like Rick Ross said, I want to invest smartly, not quickly. I want to move smartly, not fast. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to make my smart moves and find me another group. So if and I would love for it to be some females. Okay. I just want something that's different. If you don't sound like anybody else, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. I don't care what you look like. Like that's, at first I was like, I want black. That would be my dream group, because you're tapping into every culture. And if we could make an album that's about that would be hot. Matter of fact, if I find 3 of them, I'm gonna try to put them together, but that's hard, because me and Karryl, especially when we've been best friends since we were 12, 13 years old. So you can't just put women together, especially now with all the bullying, and the women are I'm so worried about their mental health, because when we were growing up, all of this shit was not that important. We were natural beauty. Yeah. This is my real baby hair. I ain't got on no damn wig. You know what I'm saying? But now, and I don't want to put on no damn wig. My baby hair, my natural hair can't take that damn hot ass wig shit. But these girls are under so much pressure to look a certain way. Right. And it affects their mental health. And I'm very worried. That's another thing I want to tap into, because there's a lot of bullying. I have a niece, and she's like, oh, these girls, she felt like she had to look a certain way. She lost a lot of weight. She looks great. She's gorgeous, beautiful, but she was gorgeous, beautiful to begin with. But, if you have any chubbiness on you, then you're fat. And then, oh God, don't be fat, because that's, the worst thing in the world. And, that type of shit ain't cool. So I would like to help women do that. But getting back to my label, it's called Fame Entertainment. It stands for Famous Artists in Music, FAIM. And I also want to do movies, famous artists in music and movies, because, I'm doing some acting stuff coming up soon. And The first artist that I have, he has acting chops. So we're trying to just have an enterprise. And, I just want to invest my money wisely and go to some of my friends and people that I know in the industry and say, hey, throw me a bone. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm going to go begging for favors. That's how we're going to make it happen.
So my last question, what advice would you give the younger artists who are taking their craft serious? And basically, what advice would you have for them in 2021?
Well, I have this advice is very, very valuable because number one, don't do what everybody else is doing. Because first of all, when I came out, there wasn't that many female rappers. Now, everybody's a rapper. So you have to imagine you're a fish, a small fish in a huge pond of fish, right? So think strategically and take steps to be seen in a different way than what everybody else is doing. So you have social media. Don't do the fake followers and stuff. But spend some time, like what we did was I know this sounds crazy, but this is just an example. We got in a camper, we drove across the country and we went to all these record stores and we did stuff. Maybe you should go and get involved into, there's like ASCAP has showcases, BMI has showcases. Go do those showcases because a lot of people who are starting, they're not thinking about that. Mm-hmm. But what you will do is you're going to meet people who are in places to help you. Say, hey, you should come on this show. And then you skip ahead of everybody else because you're dealing with industry people and not other musicians. You stop trying to impress people. You want to impress everybody, but target people who can help you take a step in a direction that's going to move you forward, be it a commercial, be it getting placement on television songs, be it having you perform at the ASCAP showcase where there's a lot of marketing sales people there, maybe people that you can connect with who can help you market and sell. They might just like you. Because somebody my age, if I saw a girl on the stage and I was like, wow, I'm going to pick you out and say, come here, I'm going to help you. You know what I'm saying? Those are the kind of people that you want to, shine in front of, because when people get in high places, they want to help people. It's just so many of y'all, you got to find a way to stand out. That's in my opinion. And just make different moves, man. Move differently. Look differently. Even this Doja Cat girl, like I used to see her come across my situation. I've seen her around and I thought she just had the weirdest little voice. I was like, oh, she's a cute little girl, She had a weirdest little voice. Look at her now. She's a big old star. I didn't think she had star quality like that when I first time I heard her. So it's things like that where you need to really just keep doing it. Stay consistent. Listen to me talking because I ain't been consistent what I'm doing. But anyway, stay consistent and just try to be seen by different people. Open the gates further than the local club where you got to pay to perform. That's fine. Do that. But if you're going to do it this week, do it next week, do it the next week, do it the next. You know what I'm saying? Don't just go once and be gone. You know what I'm saying? Just try to stay consistent in your area so you can blow up in your own scene. If you're going to do that, just do a show, just do a road show of clubs. Go around that motherfucking circle like 10 times. How much is it? $50? Okay, I'm here tonight. How much is it? $50? Okay, I'm here tonight. Start passing out your shit and just keep coming back. Eventually, it's the same people going to the club. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm jamming that shit. That shit is slapping. Eventually, they're going to pick up on you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's my advice. If it works, call me.
Well, thank you so much, Miss.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.